Welcome to Head to Head, the last one of the season because it's the last game of the season. Alabama's in it, championship game.
Alabama, Clemson. It feels like a family reunion with Dabo Swinney coaching Clemson. He had a great line. He said, "Doesn't God have a sense of humor?" That they would put Clemson on this stage against his former school. There's so many crossovers, so many ties between the two schools, going back to Danny Ford, who's the only coach in Clemson history to win a national championship. Of course, he played at Alabama. And there are so many other ties, but Dabo, of course, is the strongest tie. He's become one of the best coaches in college football. Not everybody recognizes that, but they should. It's not a mistake that they're here.
All right, so let's break this game down. We have to talk about Deshaun Watson. He is definitely the best quarterback that Alabama has faced all year. He's the best. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. He has 4,700 all-purpose yards and over 40 touchdowns. Alabama hasn't seen anything like that all season.
No, they haven't. They've seen very few guys like that since Nick Saban's been at Alabama. And what's interesting to watch, Anise, is when you break it down, is as the season's gone on, and remember, he's coming off of an ACL surgery a year ago. So he didn't run the ball a lot early in the year. He's run it more and more as the season's gone later and later. In fact, in the last 3 games, the season finale against South Carolina, the ACC title game against North Carolina, and then Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl semifinal, he set career highs for carries and rushing yards. He had 145 yards against Oklahoma. This game comes down to, can he run the ball? Can he at least make Alabama defend the run to open things up for the passing game? Do you know that since Nick Saban's been at Alabama, no quarterback, not Cam Newton, not Tim Tebow, not Nick Marshall, not Johnny Manziel, has run for 100 yards against an Alabama defense? All right, Anise, prediction time. But first, let's throw it to our special guest, John Parker Wilson. You know, JP is partly responsible for Clemson being here today. If he hadn't led Alabama to a rousing victory over Clemson to start the 2008 season, Tommy Bowden might not have gotten fired, Dabo Swinney might not have become the head coach, and Clemson might not have become one of the best programs in the country. So pat yourself on the back, JP.
Thanks, Kevin. A lot to work through right there, but that game also did start Nick Saban's run to where we're at today. So that being said, my prediction is going to be 31-17. Alabama comes out on top.
31-17, so it's a pretty comfortable win for you.
I think so, yeah. I'm liking that.
I think for Clemson to win this game, they need the defensive line to continue to be disrupted, same way they were against Oklahoma. But it sounds simplistic and it sounds easy. I think this game is on the shoulders of Deshaun Watson. If he has a career game, if he is throwing passes and throwing darts and zipping passes in that really have no business being completed and just making plays left and right, then I think Clemson has a great chance to win this football game because I do think the defense will disrupt. I think this is the best secondary that Alabama is going to play, and I think Clemson is one of the more balanced football teams that Alabama is going to play. I don't think Alabama can win this game playing the kind of game they played against Michigan State. I think they need to win the kind of game that they were playing towards the late part of the regular season. Derrick Henry, 35, 40 carries in this game, ground and pound, nasty defense, force some turnovers, and Alabama can get a win.
Yeah, I don't think that they want to go play the game they did against Michigan State. They'd rather Derrick Henry carry the ball 50 times a game. However, we did see Jacob Coger step up, and when called upon, had some big plays and some big explosive plays downfield.
All right, so Jake Coker, he had his best game of the season last week. I think he's going to have to do that again this week because Clemson, they don't get talked about that much, but they have a really good defense. They're in the top 10 in the nation. I feel like Swinney, he's really using the underdog status to get his team motivated, which it worked last week, and it could work again, but he's facing Nick Saban. He's used to being in these big games. So I'm going to have to go with Alabama 27-17.
27-17, so not a blowout, not like the 2 semifinals, which would be nice if we could get a competitive game. Look, Clemson is a very good football team. They deserve the #1 ranking. They're the only undefeated team in major college football at this point. They have beaten a number of top 10 teams. They have playmakers at every level, but they don't have as much as Alabama. They've got a great defensive line. Alabama's defensive line is greater, the greatest in the Nick Saban area. They've got a great defense. Alabama's is better. They've got a great quarterback, but as you said, Jake Coker had his best game in the Cotton Bowl semifinal. Nothing's going to change. Alabama's going to close this out. This is going to be number 16. It'll be a game for a while. Alabama separates at the end 31-21. You know, Anise, you're right about 2 things. Alabama's going to win, but Clemson, because of Dabo Swinney, won't be scared. He's beaten 7 different coaches who won national championships. He's beaten every coach who's won a national championship since 2006 but one. he gets his first crack at Nick Saban on Monday.